Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Thursday Night Hockey Show. As always, I'm joined by Travis. How you doing, sir?
Woo! Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that did happen. I ate a lot, I slept a lot, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was. I ate a lot of food.
A lot of food.
I didn't have a deuce. I had like octo or something like that. It was not pretty.
This is a big word.
It was a big one.
Big word with a Latin root.
Yeah. So, speaking of bites, let's get into some of the news of the week.
Actually, first I have something different to do.
Oh, there you go.
So I got this. I haven't opened it yet, but I wanted to show you.
It's an unboxing, ladies and gentlemen.
We have our first Thursday Night Hockey Show boxing with my ungodly large for the job knife because it was the closest one to me. There's a knife in my pocket, actually. It's reasonably
You're happy to see us.
All right, here we go. This is from my friend Bob Vitti out in Chesterfield, Missouri. And everybody knows my affinity for fighters. So I managed to pick up, this is sick, a Tony Twist signed sparring glove.
Nice. Now he did a fight, didn't he? Didn't you do like a celebrity fight?
He did do a fight, and also, I wonder if he tried it on. I just have to, yeah.
Nice.
And it's Beckett COA too, so it's definitely a good one. New, awesome dude. His autograph's impossible to get.
Yeah, you were saying that it was.
Yeah, he doesn't sign, so to find anything signed by him is an ungodly big deal. There was a game use stick that went up at the same time that I almost bought too, but I'm where
that's cooler. That's a cooler.
The glove is cooler than me. It's like Dave Schultz. Like I could buy Dave Schultz hockey puck, or I could buy a hammer spray painted orange and black, signed the hammer. You know,
nice.
So I had to go with that. Also, look at this man. This man knows how to do postage.
Does he think that West Virginia is somewhere in South America or something?
Well, he just used stamps. They were all like 50-cent stamps, and it was going to be like $7 to ship. So there's like 15 stamps on there.
Pretty impressive. The stamp nerd in me is fascinated with that. But
yeah, thanks, Bob. If Sergei Fedorov ever returns my letter, I'm just going to hope that like the package he sends it back to is handwritten from him. You know, he can write a return address on there or something for me. I'll frame it. I don't care.
You know, when I was a kid, we moved from from North Carolina to New Mexico, and all of our friends that rode us from North Carolina to New Mexico put like 400 stamps on each of the envelopes because they thought they were paying overseas postage because they didn't realize that New Mexico was a state. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like North Carolina. That's a very Carolina thing. But yeah, man. So I ended up with a Tony Twist hockey glove, or awesome, boxing glove signed by Tony Twist. Fun fact about Tony Twist: if you've seen the comic book Spawn,
yeah,
there is a villain in Spawn.
Yeah.
Antonio Twister.
And it was based off of him, right?
It's Tony Twist. Yeah,
nice.
Tony, because he was the villain, you know, whenever he played. So
yeah.
There's a fun little hockey history fact. Yeah, well, then he's God. Yeah. God on ice. And he still actually lives in the St. Louis area.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of ex-Blues still live in there. I mean, that's why, a few years ago they had a draft where like 5 of the top 20 were St. Louis-born players. They've developed a nice little hockey niche there in St. Louis. Same with Pittsburgh. Same with even Arizona's kind of developed a little.
Yeah, I mean Austin Matthews.
Yeah, you bring out Austin Matthews. That's pretty stout.
But Yeah. Also, I watched the new movie on Hulu. If you've seen Odd Man Rush advertised,
No.
it's it's a it's a hockey movie. There's a few moments where the guy's on ice. No spoilers. Be in for a romantic comedy and not a sports movie if you watch it. There is nothing sports related except for a few slow mo, puck cam type deals. Yeah. But it is not the new Slapshot, which is what I was hoping it would be. Dylan Playfair is in it from Letterkenny.
Speaking of Letterkenny, their new season's dropping the end of this month, isn't it?
Yes.
I know. I'm like,
barricade myself in the house.
So happy for like a day and a half, and then I'll be like, oh, I just watched the entire last season. So
yeah, I got like 3 shows right now that, where I have the puppy, I wake up, like he wakes me up at 7. I don't open my store until 11. Yeah, every day. Every day. And it's not like 7:02, it's not 6:45, it's 7 o'clock the dog starts barking. I don't know how he does it. It's impressive. The smell in the air must change whenever it's too early. But I've just been watching shows like crazy. Like I watched all of Yellowstone in a week.
I'm not a big consumer of TV shows.
I didn't used to be, but now I don't have anything to do.
Yeah,
because I have to hang out with him.
So out there that I got hooked on that one. But I mean, like before that, the last show that I'd watched the entirety of the series was. This is before Netflix really got into the game. That was The Newsroom and True Blood. And the True Blood was basically because it had really, really hot redheads in it. So
I had some kid the other day in the store. He was probably 18-ish, which, wow, I'm not 18 anymore. That's weird. And he said something like something about like his dad was talking about Netflix sending him a movie in the mail. And line. And I was like, yeah, no, we used to get Netflix, like they'd send you a DVD and then you shipped it back. He was like, whatever, boomer. Like, I'm 24. I'm not a boomer. I'm old, I guess, to you, but like, yeah, man. It's weird.
Oh no. When I was 24, I dated an 18-year-old, and sometimes, most of the times it didn't really bother me all that much, but then I would say something like, or she would say something about what she was doing, when she was in like 3rd grade. And I'm like, damn, I was driving then, like,
yeah, man.
Some weird thing you would catch you, and you're like, wow, that's just.
I was talking to one for a while, and yeah, she said something like, I was like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, let's just go to the bar, shoot some pool. She's like, I can't go to the bar. Oh, yeah. This isn't going to work. Bye. Hit me up in 3 years, I guess, maybe. Just, but it was awkward, man. It was a weird situation.
Right. Let's start talking some hockey then. I was alluding to the story a little while ago before we got into the glove. Biting incident, like father, like son. Brendan Lemieux of the LA Kings has been suspended for 5 games for biting.
You got 5, yeah.
Brady for they got into an altercation as the Sens have started coming back to play. Which game are you watching?
I have the Montreal game.
Montreal got Buffalo and Florida.
I actually thought that was going to be the best game of the night, but I knew for a fact that you'd have it on. So
no, it's not, because we've got Aaron Dell in the nets. Hopefully for the last time. Well, we'll get into that later. But
I still think it'll be a good one. This is not going to be a game. Honestly, though, I think that tonight could be the night that Montreal just shows everybody that they're still a team.
Who are they playing?
Colorado.
You know what? I watched Colorado last night, and man,
they don't look good.
Held
yeah.
Now Toronto is looking scary right now.
Toronto had like 54 shots.
All cylinders.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what's going on in Montreal, what's going on there. We'll get into that in a little bit, but so first father and son duo to get suspended for biting in NHL history. Of course, not a lot of people have been suspended for biting. I can only think of a few players like Chris Neal.
If you told me out of that lineup, out of Matthew Tkachuk and Brandon Lemieux, that one of them was going to get suspended for biting, I would have lost the title to my car. If there's anybody in this league that I expect to bite somebody, it's Brad Marchand or one of the Tkachuks. That's all. Like, I guess Brendan, as he gets older, turn into his father.
Well, not as much Brady as Matthew. Matthew's more of the over hothead. I mean, Brady's got some. I mean, if you saw how he reacted to the biting, I mean, he's got some temper action going. But if you were going to say which of the Tkachuks would throw a bite down, it would definitely be Matthew for me.
Yeah, well, it's a Tkachuk.
Yeah.
One of them,
But yeah, so father and son biting. Now, here's the thing, man. He bit down hard enough to leave mark, which is why he got the penalty and the suspension. Have you ever smelled a hockey glove?
Oh yeah,
they're the most disgusting thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why people get pissed off when you get a face wash. It's not so much that somebody's putting their hand in your face.
Yeah, they're putting their glove in your face.
That smell of the glove it really imprints on you. Like you can't get rid of that smell.
And he got fined $38,750 for this.
$50.
That is a Mercedes. $38,750 was his fine. That's a really nice, like 2-year-old Mercedes.
Yeah, but is that like his game money?
That was under the terms and collective bargaining agreement, and based on his average annual salary, Lemieux will forfeit $38,750. The money goes to the player's emergency assistance fund.
I didn't think he was that low paid.
Well, I don't know what
That's
actually
5 games.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was like top paid guy in the league, like what would the fine have been? I don't.
Well, I understand that it's the game check for the player. So if they make he's making less than $10,000 a game, if that's correct, and that doesn't seem right. But I mean, he is a young player. I don't know if he's on. I don't think he's on his entry level. I mean, Buffalo.
No,
Buffalo just scored. Buffalo just scored. Was that Rasmus Dahlin? Oh no, it's Vinny Inestrosa.
I miss Vinny so much, man. That's the fastest dude on ice, other than David.
He's fast. He just doesn't have hands. I mean, he's got like 3 goals this season. And
but the guy gets 7 breakaways a game. He has to hit something eventually.
Yeah, but he got a nice feed just after Buffalo killed a power play. So it's 1-0 Buffalo. 16:39 left in the first. So, I just don't understand why you. I mean, you can be pissed off that somebody puts their hand in your face, and the glove is disgusting. But the last thing I would do is put that glove in my mouth. Like, that is just I didn't understand when Chris Neal did it several years ago, and I don't understand why Lemieux did it, other than genetics. Speaking of genetics, his sister's a smoke show. Holy cow!
Chris Neal.
No, Brendan Lemieux, Claudia
Lemieux.
Dang. Anyway, so let's see. Brad Marchand is back where he should always be, and that's suspended. You got 3 games for smooth-footing. Your former captain, Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
It was a bad one, too.
It was a bad one. Good thing that OEL wasn't hurt on the play. It was close enough to the boards that it could have been really ugly with his legs kicking out like that. And he arched up so he didn't hit his head on the ice. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse than it was. And I'm glad that they got the 3 games for Marchand. I was watching the NHL video of why he got suspended, and it's scary. That's why
he's just this highlight reel.
Well, no, they mentioned that he's been suspended 6 times in the NHL. And this is his second for slew footing, so it's interesting. He's spent a couple of years being fairly clean, and so we'll see if he um, kind of returns to his old ways, or if he this is just kind of an aberration. But yeah, I have no love for Brad Marchand. So
No, not at all.
um, oh, let's take a look at these, man. I sent you the link to these, and we'll get this set up. Share my screen. The Winter Classic uniforms have been revealed for the
Yes.
Stadium Series, and these interesting.
So I look at Tampa, and the first thing that I think is it should say Sunnyvale.
Sand squanches.
It's got the weird little flame thing at the
Yeah,
bottom that makes it look
does.
like a 70s Team Canada jersey.
Yeah.
The Smashville is going to be an absolute hit with Nashville fans. Everybody in Nashville is going to buy one. That's going to be the hottest jersey out right now. I guarantee it. But the Tampa, it's like
it's too plain, but
it looks like a knockoff. It looks like somebody's like, what would happen if we like put together Team Canada and Tampa? And then that's just what showed up, I'm not against it. It's just
I
bland.
get the fealty to the bolts, like the lightning imagery. I get that, but I don't know. It just doesn't work on the word mark. It really doesn't.
It looks like Guy Lafleur should be wearing it.
It looks a little bit better on the bottom, but I mean, I still think that they could have gone so many different ways. But I think they just, it's the Nashville game, so they're not going to really care too much about this one.
Yeah, but how sick would that jersey be if they would have started up here, right on the shoulder?
Yeah.
And then did a full lightning bolt all the way down to the hip in blue, and then put the bolts in white letters in the lightning bolt.
Yeah, it would be cool. Just a picture of Zeus tossing a lightning bolt, just holding a lightning bolt and getting ready to toss it. I think that would be sick.
That sounds like a 90s custom jersey.
Yeah, well, no, it sounds like the it's 90s dye sublimated, kind of the Anaheim Ducks where you smash into the ice.
Yeah.
But that's I still think if you're going to go bold like that, this one's just dull. This one I would rank down at the bottom, close to that when LA was in the Stadium Series and they did kind of that all white thing. Yeah, white pants, which never do.
I like the Nashville mustard yellow. A lot of people don't.
Oh, I do too.
Some people, I think that they look at it and it makes them feel kind of sick to their stomach. They also don't like mustard, so I get it. But like, this is better than the Dallas Winter Classic against Nashville. The only thing that I liked about that one was that they did the brown gloves.
Yeah.
Kind of the throwback gloves. I think that this is a little bit more like current relevant hockey-esque. That patch is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good looking patch.
The Tampa patch is blue.
They could have put that
white.
They could have put that on the front of their uniform a little bit, been a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Blue and white with the gold lettering.
Yeah.
It's interesting they put hockey club on the patch. I haven't seen a NHL team use the word club in the Nordiques since 91.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Love day hockey, but I mean that Nashville is really there are some things I'm a little not like the way the letters go above the yellow. I mean,
it looks a little
like half-assish.
Yeah. It's like somebody didn't measure the letters right before they put them on, and then they were like, yeah, well, I already made them.
Yeah. Oops. I do like the kind of inlane. It's actually a lot more obvious in this picture, but the NP at the bottom of the little guitar pick thing logo, it's actually very well hidden on if you look at the jersey head on. It's matches, and it's just the same color thread, and it really, I think that looks really good. But I do think that this is going to be a good seller for Nashville.
It's interesting they were able to put something over top of letters and it's not too busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. I'm disappointed because Toronto and Buffalo play Heritage Classic in March, and they haven't released their jerseys, and I think that's a bad. Oh my goodness, it's 2-0. What? Dylan Cousins ripping down the middle of the ice and snipes one past Bobrovsky.
Is somebody dead in net? What's going on?
Bob. I don't know. Now I'm not too confident in this game because I watched the game the other night where Florida sleptwalked to a 4-1 deficit after 2, and then I don't think Washington touched the puck the entire rest of the game. Like it was, I've never seen a quality team like Washington get dominated that badly. As you know, as Florida stormed back and scored 4 unanswered goals in the third period and won the game in regulation. Scored with like 10 seconds left.
If there's
to get the win,
any team in this league that I am confident is a comeback team, Florida is absolutely. You can put Florida down 6-0 in the third. They'll wait until 10 minutes to score a goal, and then they'll come back and win by 2.
Florida does have this. Even as they were kind of a struggling team, they would always have like 1 or 2 games a season where they would just, you'd be up on them 4-0 after 2, and it was nothing for them to come back.
Yeah, Vinny Trocheck was notorious for scoring hat tricks on deficits and winning games off it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy we're up 2-0. There have been flashes of brilliance from the Sabres, but then there's also been times where Florida's been skating around with the puck like like there isn't another team on the ice. So
Jumbo Joe scored a goal in that game. It's his second of the season. It's so weird to see him in anything. It's so weird to see him. Yeah, even not just the Sharks, man. Just like that he's still playing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
like he's my dad's age.
I mean, I'm no longer. There are no longer players in the NHL of my age. So, but that was the anniversary of his trading. I think 16 years ago he was traded from Boston to San Jose. Now that was the 16th anniversary he scored on it. So, holy cow.
Also, that same night, something that I never really thought that I would see. Number one, Philip Forsberg. What?
Yeah.
Did you see that game?
I did not see the game.
Dude, guy got 4 goals in that game.
Yeah.
God,
man.
They took Nashville took down Columbus 6-0, and Columbus just laid down and took it. It wasn't even a decent game. I mean, it was just like total domination. They were playing with them by the time it was done.
You can watch Columbus games where you're at?
Yeah.
That's the
sometimes.
That is the strange thing for me. Like, I can't watch any Columbus games. Like, they're all blacked out in this market because I guess I'm close enough to Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, you probably have Root, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, dude, Root's awful.
Oh God, I hate that. Or no, it's AT&T Sports something.
That might be Root now. I'm not sure.
It used to be Root, and then AT&T bought the Pittsburgh version of it and have been broadcasting under the AT&T logo. Oh, what happened? What happened?
Speaking of buying Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. Fenway Sports, the Boston Red Sox.
Michael Jordan owns Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, at least Mario Lemieux is finally going to get paid.
Yeah.
And we're like, we can't pay you, Mario Lemieux. I'll just take the team. Okay, that works.
I hope it was a good investment.
It was. I mean, he was out really no money when he took over the Penguins.
And so I did change games real quick. I changed to Tampa, and It is 1-0 Tampa goal on Jake Allen.
Nice. Oh, E-Bug Madness. I'm telling
E-Bug,
you.
E-Bug, that's why I changed it, because of the E-Bug thing. And also, Tampa is crashing the net. Every rebound I've seen has been skate over Jake Allen.
It's not Jake Allen. It's Billy Husso. Billy Husso's in net.
Is it?
Yeah, Jake Allen's in Montreal.
Oh, that's right.
But Billy Husso.
I don't know why I thought that it was Allen. That's
so
weird.
What's going on in St. Louis is that Bennington has been put on the COVID list. They were going to call up their Charlie Lindgren, their AHL goaltender, to play. The reason why he couldn't play is that St. Louis is so close to the cap that they would have had to play with short skaters to get him on the roster. So instead of doing that for a day or two, they're bringing in a guy named, let's see, what is his name? Kyle Connon, who last played for Grand Valley State in Michigan in 2020. He got in 3 games. So he's like their backup goaltender, maybe even a third string goaltender.
Yeah, I was going to say 30.
And he had decent numbers, but, still.
Yeah, 3 games.
3 games.
What, like triple, double A? Double A? I've never even heard of Grand Valley, and I've spent time in Michigan. So
Grand Valley is actually where Brian Kelly, the new LSU head coach, former Notre Dame head coach, got his start. But Grand Valley is traditionally a football school, and I don't know that they're a Division I school. I don't think they are. That would mean that they would be a Division III school.
Yeah,
they're Division.
Like I said, I've driven up down across Michigan, 6 or 7 times. I've never even seen a road sign for them.
Yeah,
it's not like West Virginia. If you tell somebody in California you're going to West Virginia, then you're probably going to Morgantown, because that's where WVU is. Like, I never heard of Grand Valley. What's that?
Yeah,
it's not Ann Arbor.
Fairmont State is, or But so I'm excited. Well, so I don't want bad things to happen to Billy Husso, but I always root to see the E-Bug play. Ayers, David Ayers.
David Ayers
could always have that situation, and
and also Toronto had that situation the other night.
Yeah, they did have
They dressed an E-Bug in Toronto, so we've been. I mean, you got to hit sometime, man.
Yeah. So
we haven't had one for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
But I have one fun thing that Upper Deck always does. If an E-Bug plays, they actually make a Young Gun, which is the rookie card.
Yeah.
They make a Young Gun for that E-Bug. So I have a signed Scott Foster.
Nice.
Young Gun.
That's
and
awesome.
I have a signed David Ayers Young Gun. So if I need to buy another one, I wouldn't be upset about it, because they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So last bit of news is both Jack Eichel and Alex Tuck have started skating. Alex Tuck is actually skating with the Sabres right now. Jack Eichel went on. He's by himself now, but he's back on the ice 3 weeks after his neck surgery. Still a long road before he is on the ice, practicing to return for the Golden Knights. Still, I think they're still talking about after the Olympics.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I know a lot of the rift was that he wanted to play in the Olympics for the U.S. and that's tough. That he probably won't be able to do it. Although it's getting less and less likely that anybody gets to participate in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Or the Olympics is even hold. But Alex Tuck, the thing that's exciting about Alex Tuck for me is that the Sabres could end up with 2 power forwards on that roster. Paige Thompson is developing very, very well this year. It's been probably the brightest spot for the Sabres at this point is the development of Paige Thompson. You combine him with Alex Tuck, then you've got the forward situation in Buffalo is not as dire as it looked at the beginning of the season. So, but I'm excited to see Alex Tuck get on the team and see. I don't know who he bumps off of the starting lineup, but of course he's going to be probably top line forward for him. So,
also one other piece of news that's relatively new that is very, very sad for me. We all knew what was going to happen. You can't put it off forever.
What's that?
Arizona is on the market.
Oh.
And the assumption is that they are for sale in Houston, under the presumption that they will be moving to Houston. Now, Arizona's came out and said that's not true. And they've made a big press release that they're not for sale and fans need to not worry and all that.
Where are you guys going to play?
But, like, we're to the point now to where everybody else in the league has an advertisement on their helmet. And we just have an extra Coyotes logo because nobody wants to put down the money to advertise on us.
It's tough.
It's
when that rumor starts swirling, it's hard to get any. I mean, it's hard to get fans to the building. It's hard to get. Nobody
cares. Nobody wants to be part of this anymore.
And it doesn't help that the Phoenix Suns are the hottest team in basketball.
Yeah, and the Cardinals.
The Cardinals are playing well, so you've got all that sports dollar funneling. It's the same situation that happened in Atlanta. You got so much competition for the sports dollar there. Not only that, you got a major university there that has a hockey program of its own. It's tough. I feel for you because I went through it when in Atlanta. At least you get some kind of notice. It was like 2 weeks that we got notice that Atlanta was on the move before they were gone. Like they were out the door.
Yeah, and I mean we're staying in the country, and actually, for me, Houston is a drive, Arizona's a flight.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to complain.
Oh my goodness!
3-0.
Kidding me? Vinny Hinostroza, 2 goals.
Told you, man, breakaways.
This wasn't a breakaway. He was camped at the side of the net and got a
tap.
Gretzky's office.
Nice.
Yeah,
but we're
on fire tonight.
We're definitely.
Oh no, it was in front of the crease. Never mind.
Definitely going to move. It was just a matter of time before it happened. Everybody knew it was going to happen. The only thing that I'm really super fond of with the idea of us moving to Houston is the realisticity of keeping the name.
Yeah, you could.
I think the Houston Coyotes could work.
I think there's going to be a push to go back to the Arrows, but
there's already another plane-themed team. Of course, if we did go back to being the Houston Arrows, the first thing they do, raise a banner. Gordie Howe played there.
That's right.
Yeah. So, for me, being as big of a WHA fan as I am, the WHA is my main thing that I collect stuff from. So, if we did go back to being the Arrows and they brought back the WHA jerseys and, they really paid homage to it, I would not be upset with that.
Yeah.
And if we go to Houston, the Roadrunners could say in Tucson, and it wouldn't not make sense.
I think they'll end up moving the franchise because there's been a big move to keep those franchises relatively close to the home city.
Moving to Austin, then.
Well, Austin's already got the Dallas Stars team, but you could
Louisiana.
Yeah, you could do New Orleans.
Yep, which would be cool. It'd be cool to have a AHL affiliate in New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last time I dove a franchise in Louisiana was the old Shreveport Mudbugs, the Central Hockey League. But
can we bring that name back? Can we have
That's a fantastic name, isn't it?
Mud Bugs?
Bug Bugs? Yeah, heck yeah.
But
Bug Bugs? Yeah, heck yeah. That's like
the
the mascot from the Water Boy.
nothing's going to beat the Charleston, West Virginia baseball team.
Oh, what are they called now? The Dirty Bird?
Yeah, the Dirty Birds, and their mascot is a canary because they used to take canaries into the coal mines. So if they died, they knew that they should get out of there because of methane.
Yeah.
So they always have a hockey team or have a baseball team named after a bunch of dead canaries, which their logo is like a canary covered in coal like a yellow bird covered in coal dust with a hard hat on or like a pickaxe.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we knew it was going to happen, Arizona is more than likely going to move soon.
Yeah, I mean they'll be there the rest of the season, but I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if we are there this season and next season because
where are they going to play? Because I don't think they got the approval.
The contract runs out after next season. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do still have somewhere to play for now, which means I have a year to get to Arizona.
Yeah.
To watch Arizona lose at home.
So, question with Arizona, I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but have they screwed up the master plan?
I don't think so.
So they have rocketed up the standings, relatively speaking. They're still last in the Western Division, but they are above both Montreal. Or I think they're tied with Montreal. Let me see their records here. They're at 12 points. They're tied with the Islanders and ahead of Ottawa.
Yeah, but we're still last in the conference.
You're still last in the conference, but remember in 2015 when Buffalo and Arizona were playing the tank battle?
Yeah.
And Buffalo beat, well, relatively speaking, beat Arizona by being
Buffalo accomplished the goal.
By being the worst team in the league and guaranteeing the one of the top two picks. And then Edmonton, of course, swooped in and got Connor McDavid. We got Jack Eichel, and you guys got nothing. You don't want to be
going down. Go. Is he hurt? He might be hurt. They cut straight to an ad.
Oh my God!
Like, I think it's happening. I think we're gonna see it.
I don't want to celebrate if Philly Husso gets hurt. I don't want.
Okay, I mean, he has a sprained knee or something. Like,
yeah. I don't want like a Malarchuk situation or
no.
Away that fast. I'm like, no, don't do that.
If that happens, I don't think you finish the game. I think it's a courtesy that you just.
They finished that game.
They shouldn't have finished that game.
They finished the game when Richard Zegna got hit cut in Buffalo too. But I mean, I don't think it's a cut jugular. I mean that only happens in Buffalo. So, but St. Louis was the team that cut Clint Malarchuk. So.
Well,
there be some synergy there.
He got like rushed and went straight to his back, and then just got poked a little bit, and then he sat up and was just like looking around, kind of dazed. No. And whoever is calling this game was mid-word, and they cut to an ad break. So,
wow, interesting.
Okay, maybe.
All right, well, let's talk about some teams, man. There's a couple of teams in the Metro Division that are riding the struggle bus. I mentioned one of them. That's the New York Islanders. Losers of 8 straight. They also lost 2 games to the COVID freeze. But they're 0-4 at home. They're a brand new barn. They're 0-4. They're not scoring. In fact, they've only scored 3 goals in 4 games in that new building. Is it time to panic in the island?
Yes.
Yeah. I think
it really started with the loss of Eberle. I think, because last year you had Honors Lee go out on an injury. They were making that good playoff run, and then they just kind of fizzled out. Right around the time that he got dropped, it seemed like things kind of went a little bit crooked. And then by the time that he came back this year, you're out Eberle. The goaltending's really, really went downhill hard. It just seems like the team is collapsing, which it was about time. They had their good opportunities the past 3 or 4 years. They were kind of building up to something, and it was a 50-50 on whether or not it'd be a bust or a boom. And I think that it's time to accept that it was a bust, retreat and regroup.
which is sad because, Islanders are they're getting to be an older team. So is it perhaps that window is closed on them where they never quite got to the promised land? Um,
I mean,
they
they've been there. They've
well, I mean, they came close with this team to get back to the promised land. I mean, they've been in such a desert of hockey for, ever since the four straight Stanley Cup team broke up. They've been in a hockey desert pretty much the entire time, and this team has given them hope. They've gone to back Eastern Conference Finals, um, and this year came up just short. And the Sabres are flying tonight. It's crazy, um, but is that window closing on them, or is there a chance for them to continue to play well and move on in the next few seasons as they get used to the new barn?
I think that right now they're in a sticky spot, man. This is where the Wild were in 2016, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
They have a few guys that they need to make sure that they keep if they want to try to build around them. They're going to demand way too much money. They're going to pay it up, and you're going to have, the Brent Suter situation, or they can just accept the fact that, hey, it's over for now. Let's come back and try again later. I don't think they will. I think that New York is such a hard market. They have such high expectations of teams. It's, New York is a city of instant gratification.
And it's the added stress of having that new barn that they want to make sure it keeps filled. And it has a good competitive hockey team. But if they're getting run out of their building, it's going to be a struggle. I mean, you're 0-4 in a building that, and you've got a ton of home games coming up.
Yeah, you're Detroit going to Little Caesars.
Yeah, and that could be very, very scary for ownership. Seeing that
It'd be scary
team.
for me.
Yeah,
That'd be insanely scary because they're not good. It's not like a one thing, two thing situation. It's like this team is not good.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that there's a run in them, but the problem is, and they are the team that's played. They lost the two games to COVID, and because of that road schedule at the beginning of the season, the NHL interspersed a lot of those games out. So they have played the fewest games of any team in the league by far. They're only at 17 games right now, and most teams are at 22, 23. Um, Boston's at 19, but they lost a game to the COVID pause for I think both the Islanders and Ottawa. So, but they have time, but they're dead last in the Atlantic Division, and you know at 12 points, they're 13 points out of the wild card right now. So they have the longer this goes, the longer that hot streak has to go to get them back in this playoff discussion.
I mean, the only thing that I can say about it is 2018 Blues.
Yeah, I mean, as long as that is, the Blues did what they did, there's still a chance. But once you get past New Year's, and they're still not anywhere near the playoffs or haven't made that run yet, you gotta wonder. And they've already got their young phenom goaltender and Sorokin. Um, who
Yeah,
would
but they
be
don't have defense in front of him. He's just eating shots all night.
Yeah, they're giving up a ton of shots. The other team that's struggling in the Metro is the Philadelphia Flyers. They got off to a good start this season, but they've lost seven in a row. They lost a couple in overtime, but they're losers 7 straight. They're now under 500 for the first time, and it's both their. I'm not going to lay this on the goalies, even though they are giving up like 4, 5, and 6 goals a game. The number of shots they're facing, because both Carter Hart and Jones are they have good goals against averages or save percentages. They're still above 900 save percentages. It's the number of shots that they're facing every night. You know that it's not sustainable. And I looked today. I was looking at Rasmus Ristolainen, who the Sabres traded this past offseason for a first-round pick, and Robert Haig, and he is a minus again. And this guy has never played plus hockey in his NHL career. Closest he got was in 2018, 2019 when he finished the season -2. Over his career, he is a -170. But over his last 3 games, -3, -3, and -2.
It's like them giving us Gostisbehere.
Yeah, I mean,
You can't give away defensemen when you don't have defensemen.
Yeah. I mean, Gostisbehere, the problem with Gostisbehere was that he would get hot for like a week and just score a crap ton of points. And then he would disappear I'm actually comparing him to a guy on the Sabres right now, and that's Rasmus Dahlin. He would just be a defensive liability. And, he's offensively gifted, but, if he's not contributing offensively, then his defensive liabilities are just that much more magnified. And that's good.
Yeah.
I say that goes for both Gostisbehere and Dahlin right now.
Yeah, but the problem is I know that he's not the best case scenario for a defenseman, but he's better than the AHL call-ups that they're playing with.
Sure.
And they're not really saving up cap space for anybody in particular that we're aware of. There's not really anybody that's coming up that Philadelphia has made it known that they're interested in. So I don't exactly understand what the point of this is. They gave away a guy that probably could have been useful in exchange for a little bit of cap space that they're not really looking to fill offhand.
Yeah. I mean, it was curious that they got rid of Gostisbehere in the way that they did that. But, I understand thinking that Rasmus Ristolainen was an upgrade. He's a tremendous physical force. I mean, he's got some offensive skill. There's parts to Rasmus Ristolainen that I really liked when he was in Buffalo. But this little 3-game stretch is something that we saw quite frequently in Buffalo, and the bright side for Philadelphia is that they're only paying him $6 million the next few seasons. He'll get off his contract, and if he doesn't straighten up his game and put in a plus season here or there, he's probably off to KHL or Swedish Elite League or something like that. So, but it's they're giving up a ton of goals because they're giving up a ton of shots. Their defense is awful, but then a lot of their offensive contributors are not doing that well. I mean, Giroux's not playing that well. Scott Lawton's not playing that well. They're both under 10 points, or Lawton's under 10 points.
I don't think I've heard Van Riemsdyk at all this year.
Van Riemsdyk is under 10 points this season. I mean, you can't have these key contributors not contributing. I mean, it's not healthy. I mean, they've got to be able to get those guys going, or they're going to have to start thinking about moving those guys and rebuilding that team. I'm not going to give up on Carter Hart at this point, but there's some players there that I think need a change of scenery.
Yeah.
I think Giroux is one of them. I think Van Riemsdyk's one of them. Maybe Scott Lawton. I don't know, but they're going to need to start making moves if they don't turn this around. They started out well. I know that they've been missing Kevin Hayes. He just got back from injury, but Kevin Hayes is not the guy.
He's not that much of a force that you can't play without him. It's not like Gretzky's injured. It's Kevin Hayes. I get it. He's cool, but he's not that.
Yeah. He's not Vinny Hinostroza, man.
Vinny.
2 goals, man. What the heck? Anyway.
Philip Forsberg.
Speaking of struggle bus, I'm going to throw my Sabres under the struggle bus because in November they went 3-9-2. Completely, at the beginning of the month they were on that brutal Western road trip that they dropped 4 out of 5 on. They only got the win in first game in Anaheim in overtime after blowing a 3-0 lead. Um, the like I said, Rasmus Dahlin looks awful. He looks scared, and he's the kind of player right now that he plays he does one bad thing, and then it eats at him the rest of the game, and he just compounds it and compounds it. Like the other night against Seattle, he
It was a
gets
rough game.
beaten. He fell down on the first. Yeah, and it was a shorthanded goal. He fell down, and the guy was wide open in the slot, powered it home, and it was 1-0.
I love how you said he just looks scared.
He does.
He's afraid to be there.
Yeah, he does. So second power play. He's on the blue line, mishandles the puck. Chris Tanev, who looks absolutely insane in his team photo, like he's been on a 3-day meth bender.
Yeah, man, he is a wild one.
But
that's what cocaine looks like. If you kids haven't seen it,
face is a coke right there. But he gets the puck at the blue line, and basically Rasmus Dahlin is humping his leg down the ice. I mean, like that's how he's trying to get the puck, and kind of abuses him, goes in, shoots a shot on Tokarski, pounds it off his pads, and then he gets the rebound and scores. I mean, it was just an absolutely pathetic attempt, and the rest of the game was just turnovers and hesitant play. He did throw a nice hip check at one point. He did get an assist at one point in the game, but by that time the game was well in hand for Seattle. I'm worried about him. Like at the end of last season, he started showing some signs of turning around. He really played poorly under Ralph Krueger, but that wasn't a shocking thing. Most of the team was playing like crap under Krueger. And he seemed to get control of his game at the end of the season, was looking good, looking like his old self. I mean, remember, this guy is, he's the second leading scorer of teenage defensemen in NHL history behind his former coach, Phil Housley.
Who is now an assistant coach for Arizona.
Yeah. And so, Phil and it was his first coach. And, he's got talent. I mean, you watch him play, and he can put that puck on a string, but he does it until he makes a mistake, and then he dwells on that mistake. And that's something he's got to get out of his game. Mistakes happen. You're going to make a mistake. Put it out of your mind. You can dwell on it after the game. You can go over the tape with the coaches, but live in the moment, play the game. Don't screw up again. That's how he's got to approach it, and that's not how he's approaching it right now. So I mean, it's been tough, but the part of the issue is that goaltending, and then I will say tonight, Aaron Dell, even though he's been a sieve and has given up some really, really bad late goals, is playing well so far. But I do expect Florida to turn it on at some point in this game. But the goaltending, the backup goaltending, since Craig Anderson has been injured at the beginning of the month, has been very, very substandard. Tokarski's had a couple rough outings, but he's probably the reason why they won the 3 games that they won this month. He played lights out against Edmonton. He played lights out against Pittsburgh. And then Montreal's Montreal. Montreal's just hot garbage. But there's some good things to look forward to. I mentioned Paige Thompson earlier, the way he's developing. I'm happy with that. And Jeff Skinner, Jeff Skinner, I have a love-hate relationship with the guy because, I mean, he chirps. I like that aspect of his game. I think he flops too much. He goes down way too easy. Like somebody touches him, he just falls on the ice and loses the puck. And the refs are hip to it now, and they don't call a penalty. And all we do is just lose the puck, and they're going back down the ice. But he is scoring. He's got, I think, 16, 17 points now in 21 games. And, it's not like he's just scoring goals. He's 8 goals, 7 assists. So, 16 points. I'm not sure if he's got any points in the game tonight, but, he's contributing. Like, is it $8 million worth of contributions? No.
No.
I don't think we're ever going to get back to that point, but I'm not hating it. Like, if you can continue to play well and earn that first or second line time, then I'll be, hey, that's cool. We overpaid you, but that's not your fault that you're overpaid. Because even if he had done the 40 goals a season, like I think that he's not the distributor that Jack Eichel was that got him those 40 goals. It's like,
no, you can't blame the guy for taking what he can get.
yeah.
It's just, was he worth it? No.
That's
good.
But
good to know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Buffalo can beat Florida. I mean, this is an interesting 2-game stretch for them because they're playing Florida tonight, and then they play Carolina, Friday or Saturday, and so it's a tough 2-game stretch. One piece of information they did get today was they acquired Malcolm Subban from the Chicago Blackhawks for future considerations, which means probably not much is going to go back now.
You guys don't have a lot to give.
Hey, we got.
No, also speaking of Carolina, how about that Brindamore fine?
Oh no, I missed that.
Yeah, Rod Brindamore got fined $25,000 for cussing at a ref or a linesman.
I mean, they deserve it sometimes.
Well, and
just drop the fucking puck, man. Drop the
everybody has come out. Guys from that retired last year to guys that were playing in the 60s, and they're like, there was actually I don't remember which ref it was. There was one ref that was notoriously hard to deal with in the early 2000s, and his name starts with a T. I don't remember. I don't actually care that much. Anyway, he posted on Twitter that Rod Brindamore is notoriously nice to linesmen and refs, and this is completely uncalled for, and they need to grow up and go back to playing hockey instead of this.
Right?
Yeah, it was the one. It was like the one guy, like, find out your principal smokes pot. You know what I mean? It was just, it was like a situation that never should have happened. It still doesn't make sense. You don't really know how to respond to it.
Sure.
But he was pretty adamantly defending Rod Brindamore. He's like, he's not a bad guy. Whatever he said, you probably deserve it, and you should have just went on with your day instead of, just being a dick about it. Yeah. So that's cool. I think that it's going to get to the point to where nobody's going to be allowed to say anything on the bench, and they'll have to write a letter and mail it in to have calls overruled. Because it really, the issue, it wasn't even what Brindy said. It was like how he said it. They were like, there was too much emotion. He was too emotional about the call on the ice. It's
yeah,
like, he's emotional.
Like power trip. Yeah, some of these guys get a power trip. Like, how dare you question my authority in this situation? And it's like, I mean, yes, it's a game, but there's lots of money at stake with this stuff, Well,
his job could be at stake.
Yeah.
It's not immediately, but it could one day come down to like, well, how many games did they win this season? If it's one game off because of that guy, that sucks.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's. I hate power tripping officials. Baseball is probably the worst when it comes to power tripping officials. But hockey does. God, what was the worst official I ever saw? Mick Magoo. Mick Magoo was the worst official. He was an older guy. He probably officiated about 10 years beyond what he should have. And his thing was he would try. I mean, if it was a close play, he would he would like demonstratively point at the net if they thought it was a goal, or shoot his arm up in the air and call a penalty or something like that. And I think he thought that would, anytime it was a close play, well, I was overly demonstrative about it, so I'm excessively sure that this is a penalty. Um, and he was so wrong so many times. I mean, I think he was single-handedly the reason why we started getting replay in hockey. Because he was just blowing calls left and right.
We
And,
just need to have like 40 clones of Wes McCauley. Nobody should be on the ice except the players and Wes.
oh, there you go.
The athletic report on this from the Athletic is with the game tied 2-2, under 5 minutes left to go in the third. Brindamore is furious with officials after Carolina picked up 2 penalties. The coach could be seen shouting towards the ice from the bench, which led to a phone call with league officials. The Hurricanes are currently second. Oh, okay, we know that. So undoubtedly there were several non-calls that led up to this. It was against the Caps. There were several non-calls for slashing that the refs had kind of let go, and then they finally decided to call one on Carolina. Brendan Moore, after the game, said that he did not contest the play. It was a slash. He was just upset that theirs got called and Washington's didn't.
That's the worst thing when it comes to officiating is that, if you're going to turn a blind eye for periods 1 and 2, go ahead and turn a blind eye for the third as well. Don't all of a sudden become a stickler for the rules if you've been letting them play the entire game. It's the same thing that kind of pisses me off when it comes to the playoffs. Like, you called this the entire season.
Yeah.
Now the playoffs, and it's like, why are you guys even on the ice?
Yeah, hand pass is still a hand pass. It doesn't matter if it's pre or post.
A foot in the crease is a foot in the crease.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, hot.
See, I'm not so mad about the Brett Hull goal. It was the third overtime of Game 6. We still would have had to win Game 7 to win that championship. I mean,
but you never know how Game 7 would have went. You could have won 17-0, Dave. You don't know.
It could have been like 3 minutes later, and we still could have, we could have given up another goal and lost the game. So I mean, just because they would have called that goal off doesn't mean that Buffalo would have automatically gone. In fact, I think Buffalo's best chance to win the Stanley Cup was in 2005 when they lost all their defensemen against Carolina and had to play Rory Fitzpatrick. Hey, kitty. It's a hockey cat.
This is Patches. She was born when I was in 3rd grade under my parents' bed.
Oh, my goodness.
She's very old.
21 years old?
I'm only 24.
Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. My brain.
She's like 17. She's blind in one eye. She rarely leaves the bathroom unless it's to come lay on my bed. And she only weighs like 2.5 pounds now.
Oh.
She's an old lady.
Hey, kitty. Anyway, so Montreal did the inevitable, and they fired Marc Bergevin.
Shocker.
Yeah, not as shocking that he got fired. The fact that Montreal did not give him a contract renewal going into the season, I think should have put the the writing on the wall for Bergevin.
I think it probably did.
Yeah, in his place, Montreal has put in a vice president or president of hockey operations, and that is the former GM of the Rangers, Jeff Gorton. And one of the things that they said in that in the press conference that announced the firing and hiring was that the owner of the Canadiens should have hired a president of hockey operations for that team long ago when he hired Marc Bergevin. So some teams do, some teams don't have a president of hockey operations. I know the Sabres didn't. That was a source of discussion when they fired Kruger. Should they get a president of hockey operations? I don't think it can hurt. Having another layer, especially on that, especially with the Sabres. I think it'd be nice to have somebody that's very experienced hockey guy, in the front office. So Montreal is going that route. They're beginning a search for the replacement for Mark Bergevin. I haven't heard any names bandied about as far as GM replacements. I will always suggest Tim Murray, the guy who screwed up Buffalo. He's always, I'm sure he's still available.
No, he's not. No, he's working at a 7-Eleven now on Southside.
He'd screw that place up too. But
that's how he got to management. He already had a record.
Fuck up, move up. There you go. But I think this starts to signal that Montreal is going to go ahead and start doing a bit of a rebuild here.
And speaking of Montreal doing a rebuild, talk on the street, Edmonton is looking at Carey Price.
That's the team that I'm thinking that he goes to.
Yeah.
I don't know how it fits under the cap. They're probably going to have to retain a crap ton of salary.
Well, but I mean, because he's only he's got 5 years left, I think. Even if they retain 2 years salary, Edmonton's getting a value. They're getting out of a lot.
Well, it's percentage of salary, so they'd have to retain like 50% of salary. Now, there's a way to do it. And they were explaining for for the Evander Kane situation, to get a team to bite on it. You could do a three team trade where one team retains 50%, the other second team retains an additional 50% of the remaining value, and that makes the contract much more palatable, I guess you could say. That might be how they have to do it in Edmonton, because they've just got so much money tied up in McDavid and Draisaitl and even Mike Smith at this point. But to bring in Carey Price, Carey Price is old, but he showed everyone what he can do still. But who else off that team would you? I mean, I think you would say that everybody except for Caulfield and Suzuki are probably, and their picks and prospects are probably fair game at this point. And you could see Gallagher going. You could see who else do they have on that team? I don't know if they get rid of who they get from the Coyotes. Christian Fisher.
Yes. They're walking on keyboards.
Nice.
So she's such a cat.
Yeah. Somebody says that cats do that because they want to participate in the same thing that you're doing.
No, she just wants attention. So she's moving at whatever I'm paying attention to. That way I don't have a choice.
Look at my butt. So let's talk about the COVID situation in the NHL. Of course, the big story is that this new variant's coming out. Omicron. Not Omicron, President Biden. It's Omicron. It's a Greek letter. But
dude, just the amount of Futurama memes that are coming out of this Omicron thing. It is awesome.
It is awesome.
I'm on all the Futurama meme groups, because Matt Groening's a genius. Anything that man touches turns to gold. And, he predicted everything with The Simpsons. Maybe he named the aliens that are trying to destroy Earth Omicron because he saw the future, and this is where we all end.
He is. He is.
See? It is. It works.
It's crazy. But we've already had the Sens do a little bit of pause, losing, I think, 3 games that'll have to be rescheduled. Islanders had to do it. In fact, it took the insistence of Lou Lamoriello for the NHL to shut them down for a couple games. Now that both teams are back and playing again, but I think if you see more teams get into this situation, and the NHL just issued a request for players not to do holiday parties this year.
Who's probably having a holiday party? Todd Bertuzzi.
Yeah. Tyler Bertuzzi. He actually, Tyler.
Tyler.
He just got put on the COVID protocol. So
yeah, well, because he keeps refusing to get the vaccine.
Well,
he's the
now
only
he's going to have
unvaccinated player in the league.
Well, he's going to have natural immunity. So problem solved. But what could happen is if you have enough teams start getting into this situation where they're giving up games to COVID, having to take pauses, because it doesn't just knock that team out for 3 games, but it also knocks every opponent out. Now you have to figure out and scramble how are you going to reschedule those games going forward. It's going to start threatening things. Like I think the first thing that's going to fall is perhaps the that's just a big scramble play. First thing that's going to fall is the All-Star game in Vegas. I don't think they're going to want to drag all their players to one location to play. Their top players to one location to play an All-Star game, essentially an exhibition. Sneeze, bless you, kitty. She's getting your attention, man.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Olympics. The Olympics are coming up in February.
The Olympics are not happening.
2-week break.
Not happening.
Yeah, Jeff Skinner on a breakaway. Oh, and he duffed it.
For when you want to feel like a man.
He over stick handled the puck on that one. But are you going to try take a bunch of players, NHL players, and send them to the original spot of COVID? For a 2-week tournament, they're probably going to do some things to quarantine the players and all that stuff. I just don't.
And you're not just taking the players; you're taking the best players.
Yeah, if you're gonna use that as a reason not to do an All-Star game, you can't then go and say, oh, let's go play the Olympics.
It's like IHF, man.
I thought it was stupid that they were going to do the All-Star game and the Olympics this year. Like, I think the last time they did the Olympics, they didn't do an All-Star game. And I get that Vegas wants the All-Star game. They lost it last year. They
have next year. The team's not moving.
Yeah. It's not like Atlanta where it might, you don't hold it this year, you're going to lose it. Yeah, Atlanta lost the All-Star game when they had the lockout. And then they, brought it back a couple of years later. I don't know. The Olympics are very interesting. There's another story out of the Olympics that if this does end up getting played, there's tremendous concern amongst the people in the IHF and hockey circles of letting the Chinese national team play. And it's not, political or anything like that. China's hockey is not a huge sport in China. They do have a KHL team that they put in China kind of in anticipation of this Winter Olympics. So Kunlun Red Stars, the Chinese team. And what they've done this last couple of years is they started bringing in import players to play for Kunlun. And, a lot of them are, American and Canadian expats, dual citizens. There's a couple of Russian expats. There's, a few homegrown Chinese players. But this team is not good in the KHL. It's, one of the bottom tier teams in the KHL. The fear
I feel like
Putin they're going to get
poker bet. Yeah. Putin just lost a poker bet, and that's how China got a KHL team.
Yeah. I mean, I think once the Olympics are gone, I think this Chinese team moves quickly.
I think they'll stay in China, and they'll just make it to where they have to. You have to lose so many games to China a year. That sounds like a very Russian thing to do.
Throw the game, comrade.
Yeah.
But
for country.
Yeah. But there's tremendous concern with the IHF about, China. Now, I remember when the first Olympics the pros played in was in Japan, and the Japanese team was not good. I mean, they got roped, but I mean, it's traditional that the host country gets to participate in every sport that they want to.
Right.
You know, so China does have the right to put a team in the Olympic hockey tournament. There is concern by the IHF. They have actually put the Norwegian team, which is the next ranked team that did not make the Olympics, on notice that we may need to have you come play.
You can wear Chinese jerseys. Yours were probably made there anyway.
It would be a tremendous insult to the Chinese people that if you get to the Olympics and then they bar your team from playing. But there are a couple of issues that might help allow the IHF to not let China play. One is that the use of the expat players. There's a rule that says you have to be a resident of the country for 2 years and play in the country for 2 years. So the problem is that
the team's only been there.
The team's only been there for 3 years.
Yeah,
but the
wasn't long.
Prior 2 seasons. Well, the prior season they didn't play. KHL didn't play in the first COVID year. So none of the expat players, or very few of the expat players, have enough years within the Chinese system to be considered now dual citizen, or actually citizen eligible for playing for the home country. So if they don't have enough players to field a team, then they can say, okay, now let's bring in Norway. The other condition is that, they're expat players, but China does not allow dual citizenship. So will these players be willing to give up their passport to for most of them, home countries to play for China?
Yeah, this sounds like a giant implosion.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's always controversy when it comes to the Olympics, and how how the sausage gets made, and especially for these sports that are not the big sports of the country. Like when the United States played, or had the Olympics in Atlanta, they built a massive team handball court in Atlanta, and like no one in America plays handball. Handball sounds like a porn. I mean, just no.
It's a big in India, right?
Oh no, it's European. Oh,
it's European.
Panthers just scored. Slapper.
So begins.
Yeah. Sam Reinhart was on the ice for that one. Aaron Dell looks lost.
Aaron Dell is definitely lost.
Yeah. All right. There's a guy in the Panthers named Lomberg, and every time I hear his name, I think of Office Space. Lumber. It was tipped out front. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a good goal, but if the Sabres have any hope to win this game, it's halfway into the game, 3-1, Buffalo. But if they have any hope in this game, and it's funny to talk about a game that's 3-1, where you're ahead, and if you have any hope, it's you got to keep the foot on the gas. And
it's a good time to bet on Florida.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Because I'd say it's like a 50% chance Florida's going to pop this one off.
All right, so most of the teams have hit the quarter pole of the season. 2021 games. Holy cow, they almost scored again. All right, so let's bring this up here. Take a look.
Standings.
Take that on. Share this.
Take it off.
No, you don't want that, man.
The border?
There we go. No, me taking anything off. All right, here we go. So at the quarter pole, instead of doing the hot and not teams this week, we're going to talk about. So U.S. Thanksgiving is generally the time where people take a look at the standings and teams that are. Buffalo just scored. Oh, was that Casey Middlestat first game back after injuring himself in the first game of the season? 4-1 Buffalo. Sick mitts. So quarter poll of the season, 77% of teams that are in a playoff position at U.S. Thanksgiving generally are in the playoffs when it comes to the end of the season. So let's take a look at these teams. This is the Eastern Conference right here. I've got the wild card view going up. Oh, Spencer Knight's coming into the game. Bob has been pulled.
Ooh.
He got
Go
pulled
back to the playoffs, Bob. Get out of here.
Yeah. So Washington, Carolina, and the Rangers are leading the Metropolitan. Toronto, Florida, and Tampa leading the Atlantic. How confident are you that these 6 teams will make the playoffs?
Everybody but the Rangers.
Everybody but the Rangers. Okay. I'm pretty confident that actually all these teams will make the playoffs.
Okay. They'll all stay. I don't think that they're. I think that the Rangers will drop you a wild card and Pittsburgh will move up.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I hate to. I don't like Pittsburgh. I don't like Pittsburgh at all. But
I don't have any confidence in Pittsburgh, even though they're in a wild card position.
I have too much confidence in Pittsburgh. I have a ridiculous amount of confidence in Pittsburgh. Rags will drop. Pittsburgh moves up. And then, it kind of just is what it is thing with teams that we kind of expected to go up. Boston and, I think Buffalo definitely make an appearance. But Detroit is doing well. I think that it's more their schedule than their play time, though. And Boston is not doing as well. I think it's more their schedule than their play. So,
yeah,
I can definitely see.
Boston lost those games to COVID from other teams, though. Ottawa and the Islanders cost them a game, so that's why they're at only 19 games played so far. Still, 22 points is not bad. I'm not counting Boston out. I think they do make the move towards at least the wild card. I don't think. I mean, looking at the top 3 teams of the Atlantic, I don't think Boston's better than any one of those 3. So I don't think that they're a guaranteed playoff team. Yeah, I don't think Detroit stays there. I think Detroit slides down as the year goes on, and some of these young kids that they got playing like Sider and who's the young forward? Anyway, those guys are going to tire down as the season goes on because they haven't played as many games as in their previous leagues. So that they'll hit that wall probably in February. Pittsburgh, I just don't trust them right now. I don't
trust them. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think that by the end of the season, they're going to move up enough to be a slotted team, though.
Well, I think they're going to be in the conversation. I just it's a new regime in Pittsburgh, so I don't know how they're going to do the trade deadline. I mean, when they had Jim Rutherford there, you knew that they were going to try off their first round pick for a player to help Crosby and Malkin out. Now they're going to get Malkin back, which is going to be a big boost to the team, I think.
You saw an indefinite difference between no Crosby after Crosby got his first goal. There was a 3-game stint where he didn't do anything.
I think he came back just a hair early.
He did. I'm pretty sure. And then I think you're going to see the same thing with Malkin. You're going to have a little lull where it's like, oh, wait, he's back. There he is. And then you get to deal with that. So I definitely don't put a lot of confidence in Pittsburgh, but I do think that they're going to move up in the standings far enough to be a slotted team for
they're
the
there
playoffs.
At this point. I mean, they're going to be in that conversation. We'll see what the brain trust does there as the trade deadline comes. Oh, Jesus. 4-2. Shot from the point. Carlson's second goal of the game. Wow. Anyway, Columbus, they're going to fall. Boston, I do expect them to come up into that playoff conversation. I'm worried about the Islanders. They're at 12 points in 17 games. That's not good enough. But still, since they got those extra games, and they are pretty much home games, if they can get their act together at home, I do think that they can make the run to get into that playoff conversation. Do I think they can get into the top 3 of the Metro? I don't think so. The Rangers looked really good last night. They're playing, Philadelphia's on a dive right now. But they were all over Philadelphia, and so I don't think I don't think the Rangers drop down significantly. They may go to a wild card, but I don't know. Um, I do think that the way that the teams are distributed now, you're not going to see um, one division get 5 teams and one division only get 3 teams in. I think it's going to be spread out between the two. And look at Ottawa. Holy cow.
Yeah, and the only sadder thing than Ottawa is Arizona.
No, I mean Ottawa's behind Arizona.
Oh,
they're at 9 points. They're at 9 points for the season, and
Arizona has more potential to be something, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah,
to me, it's more sad.
Yeah, I mean, Ottawa's on a 6-game losing streak. That was actually bookmarked in the COVID pause for them. So we'll see what happens with Ottawa if they can kind of turn things around. I think Montreal. If I'm putting money down, I'm putting Montreal on the. They're going to finish dead last in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
I think Ottawa and the Islanders will eventually pass them. Buffalo's just too inconsistent. I don't think them moving up is really that. I don't think that's a big deal for them at this point. So, New Jersey's just. I think it's a little too early for them. Philadelphia is just. They might be able to turn around. They had a good start to the season. I don't know with this team. I don't have any confidence in them getting into the playoffs. Let's talk about the Western
Holy Nashville.
Yeah, look at that. Nashville is up in 3rd place of the Central Division. Minnesota, St. Louis, and Nashville are top 3 in the Central. Edmonton, Calgary, and Anaheim are top 3 in the Pacific. I think both of these have teams that will probably not finish in that top 3.
Yeah, Minnesota has really impressed me, man, with some of the not quite so big names coming out, really showing up. I know, we went into the season with a lot of questions about Eriksson Ek. He's looking like a pretty promising pickup if he stays consistent where he's at right now. He's on 9 goals for the season. I did not really expect that. Yeah. I didn't expect him to be one of the goal leaders for the team. But another guy that's impressed me a lot is Foligno. Yeah, Marcus Foligno is on 9 goals as well.
So. And the Superman punch.
Yeah, well, if he'd just done the Superman punch, I don't care if he scores or not. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have confidence in Nashville staying up there. They got some good young players. I think it's a little too early to kind of invest in them being a top 3. The Central is kind of wide open this year, but there are a couple of teams that I think can kind of come up from behind on them. I think
Nashville's ranked number 14 in the league right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple teams can come up on them. I think Minnesota's pretty solid. St. Louis has played really well over the.
St. Louis is playing extremely well right now.
Yeah, over the first half of the season, first quarter of the season, they played extremely well.
They've actually
their mojo back.
They've been able to hold Tampa to 19 shots, and there's 7 left in the second.
And what's his face still alive?
Yeah, the goalie. Yeah,
Billy Husso. All right, that's good.
Sadly, he's not dead yet. It's coming.
In the Pacific, again, I like Edmonton. Calgary looks really impressive.
Calgary's confusing.
They are confusing, but they have played really well this year.
Calgary does not have a medium.
No, but I watched the first game when they played the Isles in the first game in Nassau, or the new arena, and man, they owned the puck that night. There was nothing that the Islanders can do. When they played Buffalo, they roped us 5-0, and then there was
Ooh,
no
that was
point in that game I thought that Buffalo might have had a chance, and they just had a tough break. No, that was just a beat down.
dude. Tampa. Oh, St. Louis's goalie. I don't remember this kid's name. I don't know. It's hard to pronounce. Yeah, I don't care. He was playing the puck behind the net, went to pass it, whiffed on it, and almost got plowed by one of the guys from Tampa.
Jeez.
Looked like Victor Hedman too, which is not the guy that you want to.
No, you don't want to get hit by Victor Hedman.
No. So that was funny, and then it ended up being a 2-on-1 all the way to Tampa's net. They got shut down by Vasilevsky, but still, wow, good for them.
It's because Vasilevsky is just a massive human being.
Yeah,
he's lay down on the side.
He's led the team in wins for the past 4 years.
Oh yeah,
or led the league in wins for the past 4 years. Oh, we got 1-1 in Tampa.
Uh-oh.
Got a Blues power play goal.
Nice. All right. So that means, if Husso does. Aaron Ekblad just scored, so it's 4-3.
And here it comes.
Yeah, no, it's been coming. And it's fucking
getting closer.
Dude, you got a Dell.
Kids these days wouldn't understand that.
They don't want to understand that one. Ask your parents, kids. So out of these teams in the wild card race right now, who do you see moving up?
Man, I think Arizona's going to go straight to number one. No, but seriously, San Jose is out of here. Dallas is out of here.
Yeah.
Winnipeg's coming up. Winnipeg probably will be number one in the wild card slot. Vegas will probably be number two. I have a lot of faith in Vegas, especially after Eichel is actually playing. Colorado is going to continuously flop until they become the new Boston Bruins. They have a perfection line that is only rivaled by the not so perfect line of, Pasternak and that little giddy up. I think that it's going to be number one, Winnipeg, number two, Vegas. Actually, number three, LA. I think the Kings are going to come up and really impress everybody. It's been a long time coming for the Kings. As long as Brendan Lemieux doesn't try to bite anybody else, he's actually a good player whenever his mouth's not full. Dallas is probably coming in around number 4, and I think everybody else falls pretty evenly to the bottom.
Sure. I think that I think San Jose does fall off. I think
San Jose has to fall off.
Yeah, I don't write off Dallas. I think Dallas is coming. I mean, they've won 5 in a row. They're actually winning games in regulation now. So, I'm not going to write them off, especially in that division. I think that they can either get the wild card, or they could actually move up into that playoff position, supplanting Nashville. Of course, you have Colorado's kind of that 800-pound gorilla sitting back there, and I mean, I just don't understand with Colorado. I don't know
what happened.
Yeah, well, I think 90% of it. Like last night, I was watching the game against the Leafs, and I forgot he was still in the league. Jonas Johansson was in nets for Colorado, who was former Sabres goal. That was just so abysmal that I think we gave him away for like a 6th-round pick or something.
Well, fun thing about Dallas, there's been talk about moving John Klingberg. And, yeah, I know, right? And Seattle is interested. So I think that Seattle's just going for like the 2017 All-Star lineup.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Seattle actually did have a pretty semi-decent road trip. I mean, they beat the shit out of us, but they also beat Florida. Yeah, they beat Florida and Carolina as well. So,
and to beat Carolina is a pretty big feat.
Yeah, we'll beat both Florida and Carolina. That's a pretty good run. They did lose the last game of the road trip in overtime to Detroit, but they got points in all all 4 games. So
yeah, they beat the second and fifth team in the league.
yeah, Sabres are just trying to survive at this point. Good Jesus.
What's going to work? Defense.
No, I don't know if you had Jesus in net, then you'd be able to save all these shots.
Yeah, well, whenever you have the Predator himself.
There's a penalty being called. I don't know who got Huberto. Penalty? Okay. Did he get the penalty?
You needed that. We've got a delayed penalty against St. Louis here. And shots are actually even 20-20.
There you go.
Both teams are Aaron Dell is extremely defensively minded tonight.
Yeah, Aaron Dell is just swimming right now. It's only a matter of time. It's like watching that game last year when they were the last game of their losing streak, and you told me, "Oh, it looks like Buffalo's going to win this one," and I was like, "Shut up! Don't say anything."
We talk about that every week.
We got that penalty. Great. All right. So yeah, it's going to be tied up before the end of the period. With 1 minute 47 seconds left in the period.
Cross check.
That'll be
somebody over here.
That'll be 4-4. Sam Reinhart on the ice for the power play. Yay.
That's sketch.
Well, Buffalo always a former Sabre always scores against Buffalo. I don't know why it is, but we always manage to give up a goal to a former Sabre.
This one's for the Wings.
But yeah, I think Colorado gets back into this. I mean, it could just be a bunch of bad, no good stuff going on in Colorado. I don't know. That team just confounds me. They didn't look good last night against Toronto.
We're gonna find out in 3 years that there was a Chicago-style scandal in Colorado in the 2021 season.
Well, I think 90% of this right now is goaltending. Like I don't trust either. I mean, Jonas Johansson's your backup. I mean, the guy couldn't do it in Buffalo. He had a good season last year because he was playing for a Colorado team that's semi-competent. But yeah, this team. Oh, Okposo wants to go through the gloves.
Do it. Ooh, who's he gonna go with?
70 for. And he's getting taken to the box. I think it's a matching minors.
Squirt.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Yeah, 2 unsportsmanlike conduct for matching minors. The Panthers are still in the power play, but yeah, I think your teams that the teams that I'm circling here are Vegas, Dallas, and Colorado moving up into the playoffs. The rest of the teams kind of slot in behind that. I don't think San Jose is playing better because I think they got talent there. I just don't think that they got enough talent to sustain it into the playoffs. I think I could put Winnipeg in there. Again, I'm taking two teams out of the playoffs in the Western Conference. That would be Nashville and Anaheim. I don't trust either one of those teams.
Anaheim's definitely not staying up there. There's no way.
Yeah.
Anaheim is unsustainable hockey.
Yeah. So I could slot all 4 of those teams in. So I would say, I think Colorado turns around, gets it into that third playoff spot. Dallas gets a wild card, and Vegas supplants Anaheim, and Winnipeg gets the other playoff spot. So you're talking about 4 or 5 Central teams and 3 Pacific teams making the playoffs.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're right about Colorado, but I don't think you are.
There's just too much talent there to and really the only difference between this team and the last team was the goaltending.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Landeskog that just came back off an injury. We don't know what's going on with him. Rantanen was out for a while on an injury. You don't know what's going on with him.
So
So,
2-minute advantage now. 6.1 seconds left in the period.
Oh boy. I'm wondering if there's just not more to this than, maybe you do have a few guys that came back that should have not.
Yeah, I mean, you did have the whole thing with that was a soft call. Too.
And McKinnon is not playing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the game, but he's not present.
No, I mean, I watching that game last night. He wasn't really mentioned at all during that game. So, yeah, they've got issues, but I think they got plenty of time to turn it around. They've also had some COVID issues throughout the season, so I don't know. I mean, you're playing at a 605 point percentage right now. I mean, it's not bad. It's just translating those extra games that they have in hand into wins and getting into the playoffs. So anyway, man, I think that does it for us for this week. You good?
Yeah, I think we pretty well covered everything. Tony Twist boxing gloves are cool.
Yeah, they
Man Rush is kind of okay. I have a cat, and
I have a cat too.
And
Saber's going to shit the bed. Next week when we get on here, I'm going to talk about how the Sabres shit the bed in this game.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything this time,
dude. I know this because I watched that game against the Capitals. The Capitals are a far better team than the Sabres, and yeah, that was just
hot trash.
Anyway, so we'll see. But thanks everyone for joining us this week. I'll have to get with you so I can get ownership back of the Thursday Night Hockey Show page on Facebook, so I can start putting this up on that page. I guess advertising. So, anyway, thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week as we go through another week of NHL hockey on the Thursday Night Hockey Show. Have a good night, everybody.
Have your pets spayed and neutered.
Have your Brad Marchand spayed and neutered as well.
Tom Wilson.